So that shows you right there, it's in you. Okay, rinse and repeat. Know that pain is something that it's a lifelong visitor, but love is everlasting. So that means that as long as you focus on the love, on cultivating that within you, is going to radiate around you. And when the pain comes, hello and welcome back to the World of Wellness podcast, hosted by your favorite wellness coach, Taj. Okay, today we're getting into episode number 2, Hold My Hand, and this is for our new series, A New Leaf. So this one is pretty much going to be an introduction. I will call it like Alchemy 101. Later on in the series, we'll go a lot deeper. I want to keep these episodes kind of concise and straight to the point because it's kind of like a little homework assignment. So if you're struggling with the darkness and if you've been needing a way out or praying for a way out, looking for a way out, and you haven't had any luck, welcome here. I'm happy you made it to me. And I just want these episodes to be something you can revisit when you have moments of reflection and when you need something to anchor to. And I also want you to go back through, and if you journal, have your journal next to you and just kind of follow along and pause it as you need to, and kind of treat it like a working episode, not just something you passively listen to and then just go on about your day. But even if you do that, I truly believe that the seeds will still be planted. So yeah, let's get into it. First things first, our mindful minute. Today, I'm going to play my singing bowl a little bit for us, for you, and for I, okay? Because I need it. While I play, I just want you to breathe. I want you to focus on a mantra. My mantra for right now is, this is a safe space. I want you to breathe in through your nose. Out through your mouth. Let it all go. Okay, just be here for a second. Keep following your breath in through your nostrils, out through your mouth. This is a safe space. This is a safe space. Just be here for a moment. If you haven't already, go ahead and close your eyes. Anchor into your seat. Clear your throat. If you need to and you feel a jam there, give it a cough, okay? Give it a little okay? Because part of coming out of it is learning how to speak your truth unapologetically. Truly unapologetically, okay? Even the ugly parts. So let's get into it. So for starters, I just want to dive into the purpose of these seasons, the wilderness season, the winters, whatever you want to call it, the dark night of the soul. And first things first, I want to let you know you are never alone nor forgotten. And I mean never, never, y'all. You are never alone nor forgotten, even in the moments when it feels like the whole world is against you and you don't know why. Even in the moments when you feel like you're grappling for life or for air and you just can't seem to reach it, or you just can't seem to reach the light, like you feel suffocated and smothered. Still in those moments, okay, you're never alone or forgotten. And that just reminded me of the plant. In those moments when you feel that way, you're not buried, you're planted. And I'm sure you've heard that before, but if you haven't, now you have, okay? So know that whatever you believe in, rather that's God, spirit, source, Allah, whatever you call it, that higher power, the creator that made you, me, and this entire beautiful universe is with you and it's in you. You are it. Okay? And then there are also guides, angels, ancestors, high vibrational energies and beings that are here for our help, for our aid. And they do not leave our side. Everybody has a guardian angel or two or three, okay? And they never leave your side. So trust that in the moments when you're alone, and call out to them. Call out to them and don't be afraid. We're taught to be afraid of those types of things, and people are looked at as like devil worshippers, or the occult has like a negative connotation to it. But if you are in that world and you know what the work is, you know that that's really how you crack the code. And one day I may go down that road with y'all, but today's not the day. So just know that there are energies uplifting you, upholding you, and that's the very reason why throughout all that you've been through, you're still up and you're still able to swing. Like you're still breathing, you're still walking. And it's something in you that's not letting you give up. That's your life force. That's your primal, primordial instinct that is begging you to hang on and survive so that you can grow and reproduce. And it doesn't necessarily have to be reproduction of children, right? You can maximize your energy. You can maximize your potential. You can expand the goodness that you cultivate within. I feel like that's a form of reproduction in a sense. So just trust that, okay? And then moving into the purpose. So the reason we go through this season that oftentimes feels like a waking hell, the biggest reason for me, from my understanding, is to develop in wisdom, in strength, in trust for yourself and for the divine, and to become more of what you already are. So think of a boxer, right? Someone who is in the gym, right? They're training, boom, boom. They're just starting out. They're a novice. Next thing you know, they're training like they feel like they got it. They go to their first fight. They get hit in the face. They might even get knocked out a couple times. I don't know if you're allowed to get knocked out multiple times in a fight, but anyway, but yeah. So they get knocked out a couple times. They're getting knocked down, okay? They get knocked down a couple times. And they're stunned. And then they leave and they're like debriefing with the coach, next training day or whatever. There comes a time when they have to decide, is this something I want to continue with? Because that hurt like hell. Like it really hurts. All over, it hurts. Okay? And just see this as an analogy to your life, right? You thinking that you're ready. Let's say you've been on your spiritual journey. You go back out into the world coming out of hermit mode, and the energy is just smacking you left and right, and you just cannot get a grip. So you start to question yourself, and you question your growth, and you question your progress. You question your spiritual practice. Just like the boxer, they probably question their training like, I thought I was ready. This is a whole nother level. It doesn't mean you weren't ready per se. It just means that you met your match. So now what do you have to do? You have to level up. You have to go back to the drawing board. You have to go back inside your inner world And you have to strengthen. You have to sharpen your sword and strengthen your tools, okay? You have to develop a stronger sense of self to where your intuition speaks louder than your conscious mind, which is just a loop of societal nonsense over and over playing on a loop. So if you've been in your head, no, that's not you. That is not who you are. That is what's been put on you and put in you based off what you've been around and what you've allowed to take root inside of yourself. But just like a weed, it got there, you can pull it up. But while you're in this season, know that it's just showing you what you're capable of. The fact that you're still breathing, the fact that you're hanging on long enough to even watch this episode, the fact that you're still trying, even if you're crying, and I feel you right now, y'all, oh, even if the tears are starting to fall down your face right now, because I can feel you. Know that you are much stronger than you think. You are stronger than you can ever imagine. You are more powerful and more capable than you ever thought possible. And so these seasons give us an opportunity to show and prove that, not to anyone outside of us, but to ourselves. Because a lot of the times, the people who have the greatest potential, we tend to downplay ourselves. And that could be as a result of us, being brokenhearted, being disappointed by people, being talked down to by people who wanted to minimize us because they saw what we were before we knew what we were, right? Before you even get a chance, sometimes in your own home, you're being torn down as a child, as an adolescent, as a preteen, as a teenager. And then you get out into the world, and there's more of that. Why? Because unhappy people are everywhere. So later on in the series, we're going to go down the rabbit hole of like protecting yourself energetically, mentally, and all that stuff. But know that this season is to strengthen you. It's to bring the wisdom out of your soul. Think of it as like a wet towel when it's being like wrung out. All of that wisdom, right? All of that light that's been covered up by the heaviness, by the energies that came to suck from you, by the energies that want you to join their misery and want you to be in hell with them, figuratively speaking. Because I believe that hell is a place on earth, but I believe heaven is too, and we create it. And we create it with this, with this. And for the people who are listening, we create it with our thoughts, we create it with our words, and we create it with what we allow to dwell and to deepen into our heart space. So trust that the light is always there. Okay, let this process do what it came to do. The light in you never dies. It is eternal, just as eternal as your soul, because that's what it is. And just like when I was just speaking on the darkness, covering it up, right? It's like the sun on a cloudy day. You can't see it because it's gray overcast. The clouds are heavy. It looks like it's about to pour down raining. But you know that if it's some light outside and it's 2:00 in the afternoon, the sun is up there. Like, you know that for a fact. And just like you know that for a fact, I want you to know that that same life force that keeps the sun coming up and down every day, that's in you. So as long as you don't surrender and retreat, your light is going to carry you. You got to give it time, though. And I know in these seasons it's painful and you just want to run away. You want to give up. You want to lay down and throw in the towel. But I want you to resist it as much as you can. And that's little actions day by day. And we'll get into that later. So one thing to do with this is to expose your heart, right? Shed light on all of the things that are burdening you. All of the things that you've refused to face out of fear, out of guilt, out of resentment for yourself or other people, out of hatred even for yourself or for other people. All those things that when you're alone in an empty room, they start to scream and shout at you. So you pick up a bottle, or you pick up a blunt, or you pick up a bong, or whatever your vice is, right? All those things that make you want to reach for something to smother it out. I want you to just, first of all, pray over yourself, pray for the strength, and know that it's already in you, but pray for that strength to be demonstrated and to come out of you and overpower that urge. And I just want you to hold on to something. And this is practical shadow work, y'all. Like deep, okay? Go and get something that is comforting to you. Even if it's like, if you're someone who still has a childhood blanket, or if you have a fuzzy, like I love fuzzy stuff, like fuzzy blankets, fuzzy socks. Get in a very cozy position physically so you can feel safe. And make a decision that you're going to feel. Y'all going to make me cry. Why? Because it's like, y'all, the feeling is so fresh because I'm tuning into it to take myself there to walk you out. Like, grab my hand, I'm walking you out. Okay, just stay with me to the end of the series. I promise you won't regret it. As long as you do the work, you will not regret it. So I want you to sit down and say, I'm safe. Okay? Know that the pain, the regret, the resentment, none of that can kill you. Okay? None of that is a threat to your actual well-being, your life. So what's the worst that can happen? Just like we talked about in the first episode. What's the worst that can happen? You hurt, you cry your eyes out, and you cry your eyes out some more. That's the worst that can happen. Because you're strong enough to face it. I promise you, you are strong enough to face it. Over and over and over again, I've had to face it. And never has it been easy. But the first time you do it, it shows you that it's possible. So that reminds me, when it comes to exposing your heart, one thing that helps you be brave enough to feel your feelings is to think back to the hardest time you've been through most recently. Walk yourself through what it felt like when you first faced that circumstance. Walk yourself through what happened next and how you got out of it to where you are now. I want you to take your mind for a second away from all your problems in the present and just take a trip back to memory lane. You overcame that, right? You've survived, what they say, 100% of your bad days. So that shows you right there, it's in you. Okay, rinse and repeat. Know that pain is something that it's a lifelong visitor. But love is everlasting. So that means that as long as you focus on the love, on cultivating that within you, is going to radiate around you. And when the pain comes, the love acts as like a titanium coating around your heart, around your aura. So know that even if something comes in it, it puts a kink in your armor. Is that what it's called? A chink? A little ding? You know what I'm saying? It damages your armor, right? It's still not going to penetrate and destroy you. So when you're airing your heart out, for one, especially for my men out there, know that there's strength in vulnerability. For a man to cry in front of me, or even me knowing that he's cried and he's in touch with his emotions that way, that's one of the most attractive things. Like, I remember being on TikTok and someone was like talking about how when their boyfriends cry, it gives them the ick. Run far away from those women and those people, okay? Because you don't want someone who's not spiritually attuned, who's not emotionally attuned. And if you're not emotionally attuned, you definitely can't be spiritually attuned. Because to feel your emotions, for one, is bravery, is strength, and it allows you to be in tune spiritually, because that's your intuition is connected to your emotions. And so think back to the time where you didn't trust your gut and it led you astray. Or the time where you did trust your gut and it led you to a better place, a safer place. Okay, so know that there is strength in vulnerability. When we allow ourselves to be seen, even in our pain, by the right people, because not everyone deserves to see you in this vulnerable season. You're very exposed in this season, especially if you decide to start your healing process. It's so much exposure and it's a humbling experience. And this is where I learned humility. Okay? Because it can break you all the way down, but that's not where it ends. That's just like the very first part. Think of when someone is doing renovations, right? You've heard it all before. You have to break it down to build it back up. And when you build it back up, you build it first of all on a stronger foundation. So then on top of it, whatever you build is going to stand the test of time and it's going to be stable as long as you stay anchored in that foundation. So I want you to visualize that for yourself. And when you're choosing to face your feelings, I want you to do it without shame. I don't care how many mistakes you've had, how many mistakes you've made. I don't care how many times you've bumped your head doing the same thing over and over again, even though you knew it wasn't working for you. Even if you're still facing addiction or making certain decisions that you know aren't in your best interest, I don't want you to judge yourself for it. Instead, I want you to love yourself for choosing to say today's the day that we start walking in a new direction. And it's going to be a journey, but you have to start somewhere, right? Y'all got all the cliches coming, but it says the journey of a thousand miles or something starts with a single step. Okay, and that's all you have to do one day, one foot in front of the other, and you don't have to stay stuck in that state of, okay, I'm like airing everything out and blah blah blah, because you get drained emotionally. Eventually you're gonna cry and fall asleep, but you get to wake up and you do it again. Set aside time for your healing, just like you set aside time to go to work. You set aside time to watch TV or to be on your phone, right? Prioritize yourself. Prioritize your mental health and well-being, because that is what's going to carry you through life, or that's what's going to leave you suffering. So it's worth the investment. And then lean into the pain. Like lean into it like it's your mother's arms, okay? If you love your mother, if she's like, if you think mom and think, whoever you love or care for that raised you, lean into that pain like it's their arms, because once you come to a place where you're familiar with the darkness and you're no longer afraid of it, that is when the magic happens. That is when the power kicks in. Because you see all along, like when you come in to your kid's room and you turn on their nightlight, or you turn on the light and open up the closet to show them there's no boogeyman. There was nothing all along. It was just old memories, right? They got stuck somewhere inside of your heart, inside of your body. That's all it was. It was a loop in a tape. It's like walk with me, y'all. Walk with me, okay? You're in a haunted house. It's Halloween, right? And you hear right? Or you hear the Freddy song. I'm not going to sing that because I'm not going to scare myself. But just walk with me, okay? Close your eyes. Then you walk into the room, you hear that. It's pitch darkness. And you hear like rain. Like dripping, or a faucet dripping or something, creaking, right? And you just feel this eerie feeling that something's on the back of your neck. And then flip the light on, right? The show's over. It's time for the makeup to come off, the costumes to come off. You walk back into that same room with the light on. You see that all it was a tape recorder back over in the corner, amplified by a speaker on a loop. Okay? With a tape with the creaky floor, and then behind you it was just a fan blowing on your neck. That's how the mind, like that's how healing illuminates the illusion. You get to see all along. Like you get a little perspective and you're like, it was truly never that deep. And even if it was that deep, I'm not downplaying anybody's pain, but I want you to know that there's always a perspective that you can adopt. There's always a narrative or a new story you can adopt to overlay that loop that you've been telling yourself. Now it has to resonate with you, within you. It's true. It can't be some like false affirmation that you're trying to make yourself believe that's far-fetched. It has to be something that you know to be true in your heart of hearts, but just a perspective that you haven't necessarily allowed space enough to come in because you haven't been looking at the pain and dealing with it, right? When you look at the pain, when you examine it from all angles, when you look at where it came from, and then look at what caused the emotional reaction, as in like what rooted childhood thing was triggered within you, like if you have abandonment issues or you need validation or you're very dependent on others because you were overparented, whatever the case may be, look deep into that and understand it's not you that's a problem. It's just the fact that you have conditioning. And when that conditioning collides with a trigger, it's like an explosion. And it can be an explosion of pain that just reverberates out, and it just continues to destroy things until somebody puts a stop to it and says, let's bring this energy back in. Let's contain the disaster and let's see what we can do to dissolve all of this so that we can start to rebuild in a purposeful way and move on to the next phase, right? So lean into it and lean on God. I'm going to leave it there. And then the last thing I want to say, the last point I'm going to make for this episode, back to the labor and delivery room that we visited last. We be going on some journeys, Lord. That we visited last episode, okay? Breathe and push. Breathe and push. When you're in that secret place with God and you're choosing to feel your emotions and you're choosing to face the pain and heal, breathe through it. You're going to feel that emotion rising up in you. It's going to be somewhere in your body and you're going to feel it. And I just want you to lay loving hands, loving kindness, loving hands, graceful hands, forgiving hands on yourself, like you're holding your inner child, and just breathe. Let the tears come, let them fall. Know that that is releasing. That is an energetic release. And guess what? Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So when you're releasing, you're transforming that into something lighter, right? It's an inner cleansing and an outer cleansing. So continue to breathe, continue to push, and continue to go into that secret place with God and bring your journal. So on your days when you need a little bit of reminder, God is going to talk to you. Write down what God said. Write it down. And know you're not crazy. No, you're not delusional. No, it's not a demon talking to you. It's God. Because it's God within you that's been talking to you your whole life, just trying to get you to notice it. But it's been smothered. And even if you backstep, right? Even if you find yourself back in those unhealthy patterns, which you will, because it's a process. Grace gives space to grow, to learn, to heal, and to change. But if you're being self-critical, you're only compounding all the pain that you're already working to deal with. And that's not helpful for the process. Ask yourself, is me beating myself up for making this mistake gonna make it better or make it worse for me? It's literally that simple. Parent yourself gently, and know that it's gonna take time. But every day, if you spend this time with yourself, you're gonna get to knowing things about yourself that you never realized. You're gonna start remembering things that show you how beautiful you truly are, that show you how special, how needed you are. You weren't born by mistake. Even if somebody told you were a mistake, even if someone made you feel like a mistake, even if you've made a ton of mistakes, You were not born by accident. Out of all the little sperm, all the little egg, you were chosen. You. And I'm going to leave it with that because y'all going to make me cry. And I'm not doing that. So tune in next Sunday, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, I'm going to work on posting on IG and TikTok, if not daily, at least every other day. And I'll post on YouTube Shorts as well. But you can follow me on IG or TikTok at The World of Taj. And in the meantime, share this episode. If you know of a friend or a family member who is in this season, share it with them in grace and love and in hope for their healing, and pray for them. And continue to pray for your strength and pray for your healing. And pray for God to continue to bring people and information that can help you lighten your load. Okay? Because baby, you got a mission. But before we get to the mission, we got to do some healing. And that's what we're here to do with this series. So I love y'all so much. I hope you feel it. I hope you know it. And I hope you know that you are worthy. Just as you are, you're worthy of all the love that God has for you. And stick around. Stick around long enough to see it get better. Okay? Until next time, your favorite wellness coach signing out. Peace.